Like I said before, we deliver. We make promises. We deliver on our promises. I told y'all we would do a part 2. Here we are again. I got my man Steve back here with me again, flew him back out. We had to do this again. There was no way we was not gonna.
I had to see Houston again.
That's a fact. There was no way we wasn't engaged in a part 2 of this conversation. My man Fabre.
Yes. Frankie Fabre back at it again.
Right back.
And I'm intrigued for this part 2, this story, bro. You left off. I'm like, hold up. Wait, there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, we can't, like, even though I know overall everything that has taken place, because me and my man have had our conversations prior to doing this podcast, there was no way we could leave y'all in the dark and not address, everything moving forward, just his overall process from this moment of him even sitting here with us. So with that being said, we're going to dive right back into it. For ones who probably didn't catch the first part of this, make sure you do go watch the first part of this podcast that we did prior to doing the second part. We pretty much addressed how it all started from him even getting into the academy, starting from, being fairly new, and then started kind of learning the game of being a CO on Rikers Island, and I guess got caught up in the midst of trying to financially gain and with financially gaining somewhat gave up, I guess, what would be considered integrity of being a correction officer. So
on top of trying to just survive,
right?
People forget that every day is you're on survival mode.
Right.
Day. You don't know if you're gonna go home the same way you went in.
Exactly. So we covered a good amount of that. So we want to just kind of piggyback on what we were discussing prior to us cutting the last show, and we get to addressing, I'm going to do things my way. And in doing things my way, sometimes we do forget about the overall bigger picture, opposed to singling us out and doing things our way. There's a bigger picture to the task at hand. So we are now at the point where you're arrested for these pending charges. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But now you go through this phase of talk to me about the process of now even just, I guess, cooperating on everything that took place, and ultimately you being given the time that you were going to be locked up.
My bail was very high, as I said in the last episode, $750,000 over $500,000 cash. As much money as I had acquired, I didn't have that type of money.
Yeah.
And I didn't have enough property or any type of incentive to give the court to let them know that I'm not a flight risk.
Yeah.
They look at me as a flight risk because of all the travels I did the entire time that I was under investigation. I get arraigned at court. The lawyer that they appointed me gets there. He lets me know he's going to try to get a bail package, trying to get a bail reduction hearing. And my whole thing is trying to get out.
Yeah.
Because I know from seeing these inmates basically have no resources, it's best to fight your case outside.
Absolutely.
So the lawyer comes to see me. They put me in Westchester County. The reason why I'm not on Rikers Island is because I am technically on the job still.
Like a conflict of interest.
It's a conflict of interest. I'm around my peers. They don't want any, they don't want me even having conversations with fellow CEOs. They don't want inmates at a house to, interact with me in any way. So they put me in Westchester County. I get to Westchester County. That's a whole different world on its own, but it's not as bad as Rikers.
Right.
There's cameras all over the place. It's a lot cleaner. Officers seem a little more relaxed, I would say. Things still happen. People get jumped. There has been an occasional cutting, but that happens like twice a year.
On Rikers, that shit is happening
every
daily.
building,
yeah,
every day.
Right.
So that kind of calmed me down a little bit. I get into the intake area and everybody knows who I am at that point, because 2 days have transpired and I was on every single channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the Daily News, the New York Times, the New York Post. I was on channel 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 11.
Right.
So everybody knows who I am. Nobody's really against, treating me unfairly. They're just trying to get me through the process. They sit me down. The captain comes in and tells me I'm going to put you in protective custody. He doesn't ask.
Yeah, he just let you know what's going on.
And he's like, I know you're going to tell me you don't want to be in protective custody, but you're still an officer. So unfortunately, I have a responsibility to make sure you're good. You're going to get your own separate room. You're going to be outside of protective custody. You're not even going to be inside the cell. So I actually got a 1-bedroom
to yourself.
To myself. Windows. The only thing that I didn't have in the room was a shower. But I had my own personal shower in the corridor. So I'm like, all right, like, it's not that bad. But regardless of the fact, I still don't want to be there.
For sure. You're locked up.
When that door closed, man, that's when the tears came out. And I'm like, yo, nah, this right now, every time I kept telling and reminding myself how real this was, getting locked up, having the AK-47s pointed at me getting on the ground, me being handcuffed, me going to the federal agents, the headquarters, getting bail set. None of that was real until that door closed, because I've never had that door close on me. I'm the one that used to close the door.
Right.
I got in bed. I didn't even make the bed. I just wanted to lay down. It was my first time laying down in almost 72 hours. I wake up. They give me breakfast. The CO already knows who I am. They have a rundown, and I'm trying to ask him questions because I want to know how everything is being operated. He kind of just shuts the door. He's like, we'll talk later. We'll talk later.
He don't even want to chop it up with you.
I don't even want to chop it up. 2 hours later, I get a call. They knock on my cell, on my door, and they tell me that my lawyer's here. He's breaking everything down to me, and he says, listen, I don't live too far away from here. I'm going to come see you often. Back and forth. I start to read my discovery. I start to see who was involved, and I start to see how deep this really was.
Right.
I said, shit, this is not looking like no probation. This is not looking like a 8-month bid. I'm facing some real time here. I have an A1 felony, and I'm having an indictment that becomes a superseding indictment on my next court date. So now I have 17 more charges than I did when I got arraigned. I'm fucked. Yeah. My lawyer's kind of telling me, like, listen, we're going to try to push for 5. And I'm like, push for 5?
Like, what?
I was just driving around, man. Like, yeah. I didn't hurt nobody. Like, I'm trying to justify what I was doing, because if I saw this in the paper, I'm like, oh, he was just trying to get money. Like, I'm trying to justify my wrongdoing to myself. But then the lawyer is telling me, like,
you fucked up.
You caused some shit. And my lawyer was Polish. He was a hood Polish dude from the streets of New York, Brooklyn. He says, you know how they looking at you? We gave this minority an opportunity with the city, and he spit in our face. Shit. Then they're taking it personal, you know, and
we're gonna make you an example of you.
And we're gonna make him an example, because if we don't, they're gonna continue doing this. And they made an example. I had to take 8 years with 5 years post supervision. I just got off parole 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, bro.
Well, shout out to that.
Thank you. That was something that was like, the first time I had to really face reality was when I got sentenced. Because now it's like, all right, now the time starts. Yes, I have 2 years in fighting this case, and that goes towards my time. I haven't even got upstate yet.
So all that time you were at Westchester County?
This is Westchester County. I fought my case for 22 months because I couldn't make a $750,000 bail.
Yeah.
And I have a drug case. So if I had the $750,000, I have to show receipts. I have to show where this money's coming from. I'm a correction officer. I can only make no more than $120,000 a year. So it was a lose-lose. I already knew I wasn't getting out. The only positive is that time went towards the time that I got. But I still got 4.5 more years to do an upstate prison. I was a New York City correction officer, now having to be a New York State prisoner in a Max A prison, in the most infamous Max A prison in New York State, which is Clinton Max. That right there was like,
yeah, deep breath. I exhale. This shit is real.
I'm not in Westchester County. Westchester County people know who I was. We get inmates from Rikers Island that get kicked out of Rikers Island and get sent to Westchester. I'm still in the city. I'm still around people. Oh, yo, you know my man that was on the island, this and that. So there's still love.
A sense of comfort too.
A little sense of comfort. My mom, my girl, my boys, they could come visit me. I'm 40 minutes away. Now the trip is 9 hours.
Clinton damn near Canada.
It's Dannemora. It's 15 minutes away from Canada.
Yeah.
The snow comes up to here. You know, so that took a toll more so on like, now I'm going to really be alone. Because when you go upstate, you're not just dealing with inmates that came from Rikers Island, Buffalo, Albany, Kingston, people that are out of state. Like, you're dealing with...
Who caught an in-state charge.
Who caught an in-state charge.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who I'm going to see up there. I'm mentally preparing myself, physically preparing myself. I lost mad weight. I'm starting to work out because now I got to, I guess, become truthfully what an inmate has to do to survive. And that's physically be in state, mentally have the state that will allow them to survive and by any means necessary.
You was getting ready to change your whole overall perspective to life because now your life is...
I can't be that chill no more.
Right.
Now I gotta be, you know, I gotta promote myself as somebody else.
Right.
Because if I show weakness, it's
who knows?
Stick out like a sore thumb on top of having to be transparent and let cats know up there that I used to be a correction officer.
Right. So now you leave Westchester County. You find out you're getting ready to go up to Clinton.
I didn't know I was going to Clinton until I got to Clinton. They don't tell you where you're going.
Oh, shit. So hold on.
There's multiple stops on that bus. I'm chained with somebody for 12 hours. They got to go to the bathroom. I got to get up with
So you didn't even know you were going to Clinton?
No, I'm in downstate for 4 months, which is the reception. They classify you there by crime, gang relation, and how much time you're doing. Mm-hmm. So anybody under 8 years is going to a medium facility jail, which is usually a dormitory setting. Mm-hmm. Anything over 8 years, you're going to a max A prison, which is Attica, Clinton.
Those are the two that I pretty much know that most.
Sing Sing. Those are the big boy jails. And by the big boy jails, I mean everybody there is doing 8 years or more. Mm-hmm. And if they're doing less than 8 years, they're finishing their 8 years or more. Mm-hmm. So it's a different caliber of inmate, you know. We get to Clinton, and it's like a movie. It starts pouring. It gets gray. It's like, yo, man, like, this is my welcome. As soon as we get off the bus, they're letting us know. I don't care what county, city, federal prison you came from. If you fight in my corridor, if you fight in my mess hall, if you fight in my school area, if you fight in the day room, if you fight anywhere else, I'm going to kill you. You want to fight and you want to have an issue with somebody, you do it in the yard. Why do they tell you to do it in the yard? Because they have guys on those towers with real guns waiting for something to pop off. They have the legal right to shoot and de-escalate a situation if it gets out of hand in the yard only. They're telling us we could kill each other, but it has to be in the yard.
Go do that shit in the yard.
And I'm just like, I'm not even on that type of time, man.
Like as you're speaking, I'm trying to internalize this shit because I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and I can't even fathom. Like you just said, I was just driving around uptown in Harlem, and now I'm here getting off a fucking bus,
closer, Canada.
Damn near in Canada, going to one of the most well-known prisons in New York State.
6 months before I arrived, they had 2 inmates escape from Clinton. So the officers there were not playing. You just made the officers look stupid.
Yeah.
That's a small town. Everybody in that town works at Clinton.
When you get inside, what's your first thought now at this point? Because now you've already been locked up now. You obviously recognize that this is not going anywhere for some time. Mm-hmm. But now you're in a different environment going on to Clinton, and now you're inside there. Where's your mind at now? Where are you at mentally once you make it inside Clinton?
I have to steer clear from everything that I know is about to happen. I have to dodge it some way. I have to remain like in a middle ground. I can't. When it comes to prison politics compared to jail politics, these are all guys that are have a structure that they've created. I'm Dominican. I'm supposed to chill with the Dominicans. I can't really chill with you like that. You my mans.
And that's the culture in there?
We can talk, but we can't talk a lot. And it's racially divided for a reason, because we are still the minority up there. There's a lot of white boys, but the white boys are officers. And the white boys that are officers with the white boy inmates kind of let them do what they do. And they treat the blacks and the browns very differently when we know what's going on. Like, we see, like, it's open racism out there. Like, I've never endured racism like I did until I went to a New York State prison. The officers don't talk to inmates unless you're white, and they have to, or unless they have to tell you to do something.
What to do?
But there's no regular conversation.
So if you and I decided to spend a yard with one another,
The whole yard is watching us, and there's only two logical reasons why we're spinning the yard. We're either about to bust a move to make some money, and that's the only reason we're talking, and it's a money move, or we have an issue and we're trying to see how we're gonna either continue this issue and settle it, or we're getting there. But there's no
other than that, really?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I had a Spanish dude that same day I went to the yard, asked me for my paperwork. And I'm like,
why?
They want to know, are you a rapist? Are you a gang member? They want to know who you are before they even
engage with you.
They have to know, because for them, they have to survive. Maybe you have beef with them, man, and I don't know. And now I find out who you are, so I'm ahead of you now.
So now that happens. Let me see your paperwork. How do you respond to that? Like, what's
getting the paperwork to the yard was the biggest hurdle. You can't bring court documents to the yard. You can only have court documents when you're going to the law library. It's part of the rules, because they know that that's what happens. And what if the inmate bringing the paperwork,
they see some shit they don't like,
you know? So I have to get through the metal detectors. I have to bring this to the yard, because if I don't, then they're gonna think something real funny. I'm hiding something. Now that makes me a target, and they don't even care what it's about now.
So double-edged sword.
Bring my paperwork to the yard. Let them know, hey, listen, this, and this. I already knew protocol, though, because unfortunately I've known people have gone through the system. And then I had, the proper jail and prison etiquette where I know how to maneuver, because I did this.
Right.
And I've seen it done. So I did that. I let him know what type of time I was on. I'm not gang banging. I'm not nothing. Yo, listen, I used to be a New York City Correction officer, but what? And he's listening to me, but he's so intrigued and he's reading, and his it's like his hand is shaking. He's like, yo, this is a fucking movie. That's crazy. His whole demeanor changed, because it's like, oh, like, you're not in here for beating up an inmate or doing some other wild shit. You was for us.
Yeah.
The tension drops. Yo, you need anything? Look, I'm gonna ask the officer that I work with now, if you could work in the mess hall with us, and then we'll try to get you a job, blah, blah, blah.
Energy totally switched.
So that was a plus. The officers saw that I was just trying to do my time. The officers never came at me and said I disrespected they don't give a fuck. It has nothing to do with, it's still in the sport of corrections, but my department and their department is two different worlds. They're just like, oh shit, all right, whatever. But I get into a rapport with them because they see that I'm on my typewriter writing this book. I'm cutting hair in the yard. I'm working up front. I have outside clearance. I'm shoveling snow. I'm on laws and ground. I'm doing anything.
You trying to do anything to stay active.
And it's staying active in a way where I'm away from the bullshit. Because I noticed, being a correction officer, when there's nothing to do, bullshit.
Did bullshit ever come your way while you was in there?
No.
Really?
No. And people don't believe me, but it's like, why would I tell you that I did anything?
Right.
Nothing. Not one fist fight, bro.
Nothing. No pressure was put on you.
Not one. There was one dude that probably came at me some type of way and then later on apologized. Like, yo, my fault, man, this and that. He's probably looking at it like he's just here. He fucked up, and he's open and transparent about it. I look stupid trying to start some shit with this dude. But that's the aggression he has because he's never going home. I'm around dudes that are never going home. I'm around infamous serial killers, infamous rapists, infamous gang members. But I was just myself, and I think they respected that. So
nah, that's big time. What was one of your lowest moments in there while you were serving your time?
I had a few. Definitely with death. My best friend passed a year into me going and being in Westchester County. And it was like, damn, man, like, I can't even go to the funeral. I can't go to the wake. And then when I was in upstate prison, my grandmother passed. I can't go to the funeral. I can't go to the wake. She's not even in this country, so I can't even, it was just like, what are you going to do aside from what you're doing now? Nothing.
And I think that's some hard shit to try to internalize, because now these are close people to you that now you can't even get close to them, not even a phone call, and you're trying to now manage being locked up in this fucking prison in a totally different world, and now you're losing close people to you. So trying to internalize that and still remain strong is a extremely difficult task.
On top of prepping my life post this, what am I gonna do? Mm-hmm. So I told myself, like, listen, man, there's not gonna be too many options. I'm gonna be on parole. I can't leave the country. I can't leave the state. I don't know if they're gonna give me my driver's license back. I've been gone long enough where technology does change a little bit. 6 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. Technology is changing every hour.
Even Instagram was not what it was when I came home.
Right.
When I first got a phone, that first day out, I remember how to maneuver Instagram, but there was things like, wait, hold on, what? And it's only been 6 years. Imagine the guys that did 20,
right,
15, 35. So I knew that I had to keep up to date. I'm reading magazines. I'm reading newspapers. I'm buying books on screenplay writing. I'm buying books on how to structure a novel. I'm basically educating myself over and over again so I have enough platforms to, if this shit don't work, I could do this. If this shit don't work, I could do that.
Speaking of the book, at what point did you even say to yourself, like, you know what? I've been through so much throughout this process. The only way for me to express it is to try to put it in words in a book. Like, when did you decide that a book was going to be the direction you went in?
People were so entertained by it being told to them verbally, and them reading my paperwork and reading my discovery and even reading the newspaper articles, because they're intrigued by how this all came about. And then I'm thinking, my story's pretty big, but I don't think I could write more than 200 pages on it. So if I'm coming from this, there has to be other people that their point of view is just as wild. The mental health clinician, the visitor that goes to see her baby father, the son of a mom that their mom is incarcerated, the gang members that are in here trying to, run a power trip over other gang members.
Right.
So I said, you know what? Let me get a compilation of all these characters, all these walks of life, make fictitious characters based on real life scenarios, real life instances, and write a novel about it to an entertaining aspect where it's like, even though this is hell, there's still people that come here willingly to work and some unwillingly to do their time, but they all have a main objective and they're all trying to survive.
What's crazy was, as we're speaking about this, a question popped to mind. I'm curious to know, did anybody, look how we said on the first show we did with one another, all of the corruption that takes place on Rikers Island. With people now knowing your story, reading your paperwork, did anybody try to, at any point, say, well, shit, he did it as a CO. Let's see if he'll bust that move now as an inmate. Was anyone trying to, I guess, put pressure on you to try to bring contraband in on when you was up at Clinton? And is it as big as it is on Rikers, with motherfuckers trying to bring shit into the jail, into the prison actually? Is it as big as it is on Rikers up there in Clinton?
There's more harder drugs. Heroin, crack, LSD, alcohol. The weed is a plus, but it's not mandated. And don't forget you're allowed to smoke tobacco in New York State prison. So the demand for tobacco, I could buy that on commissary.
Right.
But the harder drugs, it's what's wanted. Gangs predominantly have a chokehold on what comes in and out of the prisons in New York State. So I was never asked to engage in that because that's their business.
Right.
You know, and I'm the non-gangbanging ex-CO that cuts hair and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so I was out the way for them.
Nice.
You know, they never came at me with that. Nah.
Good. Yeah, because for me, I'm like, well, shit, they probably looking at it like, oh shit, he did it when he was why the fuck wouldn't he do it now?
Right, like it's an opportunity.
You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, let's try to seize the moment. So at least, I mean, I'm happy that throughout your process, you dealt with it, obviously, while you were doing it, and it didn't haunt you moving forward.
No.
Even when you did your time, and even to this present moment, it's not haunting you, and that's my biggest thing. Like, we don't live in a forgiving world, and bottom line is, we make mistakes. People don't want to forgive us for the things that we've done.
No.
And it seems like, at least every conversation that we've had, you just seem very happy. You seem very very focused at the task at hand. You don't, you obviously recognize like, yo, my life changed for the last 6 years, but I can't let that 6 years determine everything that goes on with me moving forward. And I commend you for that, because listen, as you're talking, I'm literally trying to internalize this shit as how I would respond. And obviously, we have to try to tap into the world that we're living in. And man, I don't know. Like, I really don't know how I would have responded in that situation.
But I became a man in prison, bro.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a man before I got in there because there was no like real responsibility aside from myself. So I'm learning life while I'm going through the motions. Obstacles, right? I went in at 25 and I came out at 31. So those are pivotal years, So again, I have so much time. That's the first time in my life I got to sit down with myself, and I learned a lot about myself. So I know this is not forever. I'm around people that are forever, and that kind of motivates me to like, nah, I gotta kind of do it for them, because I have people reach. I just missed a prison call right now. I just missed one, and I usually try to pick them up as frequently as I can because I know what that pain feels like.
For sure.
They just want to hear that I'm doing good. They don't ask me for money. They don't ask me for favors. They don't ask me for none of that stuff. Regular jail, prison talk. Yo, how's the ladies out there? I heard this and I heard that. And, they try to keep up to date. Yo, did you hear that new Meek Mill album? They could be 7 months late.
Right, just
but
want
I'm
to be
like,
up to date.
Yeah, man, this and that, because I'm giving them hope. But they're living through me.
Yeah.
So I just had goals. I became a man in prison, and I'm just trying to check everything that I said I was going to do while I was in there.
Mm-hmm. How's Mama Love throughout this process? Like, how's she responding to this?
It's a roller coaster, man. One thing, we got a little closer because she kind of kept the writing letters thing, and that kind of helped with my penmanship. That helped with my writing skills. My mom, she's bilingual, so I could talk to her in Spanish and English. She's an educator till this day. So that kind of helped me with my writing, and I'm writing people all the time. The year I left Clinton is when they got the tablets. So that's when they started the email thing. I missed that wave, but I'm happy they got it now, but everything was pen to paper, pen to paper, pen to paper. And as I'm writing this and I'm scaling this book out, I buy a typewriter and I'm typing everything in. I say, yo, when I get out, I'm going to get this published. I'm going to get this published. I get on a podcast. Somebody in Florida who owns a publishing company listens to that podcast. They listen that I have a full transcript. I'm just pitching my book. Had a phone call. At that time, I'm in work release. I'm still not free. I have a job in New York City, but I have to lock in at night every single day. So I work up to a certain time, and then on the weekends, I get to go home. That's what basically work release is in New York. As I speak to him, I'm letting him know, like, yo, listen, I'm still an inmate. Like, I can't give this my all right now because I still have to lock in. There's internet access and all that stuff. He says, we can do this little by little. And he worked with me, and we got that deal.
That's fire. Shout out to whoever.
Yeah, man. Jackson Messenger, man.
Yeah,
Messenger
man, that's big time.
Publishers.
Because again, like I said, we don't live in a forgiving world. Some people like, man, I'm not fucking with him. But
he saw that this had something, and he saw what came behind it, so he invested.
Fire, good shit. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm 4 chapters in, and I'm reading it, and I'm smiling as I'm reading because I'm like, yo, look at my boy, really like pour his heart out and put his all into this, and man, I'm ecstatic that you even decided to go this route, and I'm hoping more people are willing to tap in with your story because it's necessary.
Yeah, man, it's an easy read. I'm not an English major. I did not go to college for that. I got a 65 on my high school regents for English. There's maybe 1 or 2 grammatical errors in there. It's not perfect, but I think that's part of it.
Right.
Because I'm not perfect.
Right. None of us are. So with the book, I want to make sure that I bring awareness to the book. With the book, how much are you? Is there anything that you felt like you could not say and put out into this book based off obviously people still being current in this line of work, things that you might still maybe feel like I don't want to expose that? Is there anything in this book that you didn't put out? Like maybe this is best left to be unsaid. Is there anything that you didn't want people to know? Or did you get completely vulnerable with this, with this project?
I tried to steer clear from like policy, procedure, because I know that stuff is sensitive to security, right? I don't want nobody getting hurt. This was more on the entertainment side. I wanted to really show you what regular people go through and how they have to mask who they really are just to survive at this place. So I don't think I refrained from anything that I could have spoke about personally. A lot of the stuff that I write about has been cases that have happened already, publicly known cases or publicly known instances. So I didn't say anything that it was like, oh man, you're giving up this or you're making COs look bad. I'm not anti-CO. I'm far from anti-CO.
Right.
I just know that, this is a struggle for all parties. Right. And that's what this book is about.
Right.
It's a struggle. It's just everybody's trying to survive, no matter what title you have. If you Google all the things that happened on Rikers within the last 2 weeks, your jaw's going to drop.
For sure.
There's not just been officers that have brought contraband. I'm not the first one. There has been 17 officers post me incarcerated for bringing in contraband. I'm not the only. I wasn't the first guy to do this.
No, I already know.
There's been mental health clinicians that have brought drugs to inmates, and they make over 160 grand a year. It's like, why would she risk that? But you don't know. Maybe there's a love entanglement. We're all human.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Like, because on here, you talk about the inmates and civilians who witness the violence, the drugs, the sex, and corruption that occurs every day inside. So, I mean, just out of curiosity, when you're saying the corruption of like sex, like what's that look like in Rikers Island?
There's definitely a culture of sexual tension within, I think, jail and prison. If you're in a predominantly male-populated jail or prison, there's still female employees. There's female employees that might find a male prisoner attractive. That's not far-fetched.
Far from it.
Are they supposed to engage and fraternize? Absolutely not. But if he's telling her and making her feel like she's number one, she might give in a little bit and then retract, but she knows that she's not supposed to give him any type of that energy-wise. And sometimes we fold. Sometimes things happen. You've seen it on the news. Male inmate gets female officer pregnant. Right? It happens vice versa. I was with an officer in Clinton I was with 2 officers in Westchester County that were
what the fuck was that?
I was with 2 officers, 2 state officers, correction officers in Westchester County that were having sex with 2 female inmates in Bedford Hills.
Chick that was in the academy with me, she was under investigation for fucking with an inmate. I think homie ended up getting her pregnant. and she was bringing the nigga food and shit. And I think she ended up getting pregnant by homie. And I don't know the end result of the situation because I had already left. I had resigned. But yeah, she was on the investigation for that shit. And I just it's mind boggling to me how, like you said, how much it happened. So when people think, how can this guy do what he did, and there's a lot going on.
It's not just the promoting prison contraband.
Right.
That's
right.
not even part of the not conspiracy. That's not even part of the
corruption.
The corruption.
Right.
It's deeper. The corruption could come from me falsifying a document saying that the inmate hit me first, or an inmate falsifying a document and saying that the officer sexually touched him. Everybody's against each other in this world, so that's why it's so hectic.
Yeah, 100%. I know vividly. I can remember having to do reports because an inmate alleged that I used excessive force on him. Him and I never even had contact with one another. You feel me? And it's like, COD. He beat me up on the lock-in, put me in a cell, punched me in my face a couple times, stomped me out. And I want to file a lawsuit.
And it's his word against
And it's his word against mine. I'm like, that
they don't have your back.
Nah. And I'm like, that never happened. Well, you got to write a report on it.
They'll tell you.
It's
I don't know
this
that.
is crazy. That never happened. Yeah. But again, motherfuckers is in there also trying to get paid too.
Yeah.
So quickest way to try to get paid is to say a CO excessively beat you up.
Do you know there's a budget for lawsuits on Rikers?
Of course.
There's a budget for it. Every time an inmate gets cut, that's between $12,000 and $30,000 because the Department of Corrections failed to safely secure this person. The reason why they get the payout like that and it's so quick is because they're not prisoners yet. They're innocent.
I'm innocent until proven guilty. So people think like Rikers is such a fucked up place, but people got to remember none of these people on the island,
except for one building,
which is the 6th building, EMTC. No one on the island has been charged.
They're all
no one's been convicted of a crime.
They're all innocent.
Everyone's innocent.
They just can't afford the bail.
They can't afford the
fight
bail.
Want to go to trial.
Or they have a parole hold.
Right. So everyone on the island is innocent until proven guilty. They still have an ID card with their first, last name. They obviously there's classifications on Rikers pertaining to if you're in a gang or if you're in a high classification area. Which if you're in a high class area, your ID is red.
But they're still innocent.
That's
where their aggression and that tension comes from, because I'm stuck here and I didn't do it, and I put it in quotes because maybe person didn't do it.
Right.
I had one instance that I could talk about right now about someone not doing it. I was in this housing area for 2 weeks, and this kid was going to court every single day fighting his case. He was on trial, and they were deliberating for like 4 days straight to see whether he was innocent or guilty. He left that morning. I didn't see him because I worked the afternoon. I came back, and the house had a celebration. Everyone had commissary. Everyone, there was the game on. Everyone was in great spirits. And I'm like, the fuck is going on? Like, they don't even do this when it's somebody's birthday.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, you remember such and such? And I'm like, yeah. Like, yo, he not guilty. He called from an outside line, got through with somebody, waited till someone in the jail called, merged the call, and gave everybody the info. And the person they gave the info to that they beat trial made sure and said, yo, tell Dominguez, thank you. I send my love.
It's fire.
Because every time he left to trial, when he came back, I would check in. Yo, what happened? Everything good? This and that. I'm doing a psych check. I was a therapist in there. Because I got to make sure that you're not trying to kill yourself. Because you might be facing 75 years. I've had an instance where the inmate came in, fresh out of court, blue trial, asked me to get in the shower. He comes out, I asked him if he's good. He's like, yeah, man, but, just blue trial. I'm like, what did you get? He's like, 65. He's 23, 24. He's like, I could get in the shower and then, I'm going to just chill. It didn't hit him yet. And then he's in the day room playing spades. He has to, in his mind, he's never,
this is it.
This is it.
Right.
That could have went 2 ways.
How about this, bro? There was a situation where I want to say this is probably like my last 6 months on the job when I was there, 18 years old. Gets through intake. I forgot I don't remember what crib he went to. I think he went to 3 Top. But gets through intake, goes upstairs. When it's time to lock in, goes in his cell. The very next morning, they found him hanging up.
7 Top.
Was it 7 Top?
I was there that morning.
Yeah? Found him hanging up.
Yo, that you could feel the coldness in the building.
Found him hanging up. 18 years old.
I remember that.
And I was like, yo, this little man, like, young boy.
He took the bed frame.
Yeah.
Put it against the cell door. The bed frame has the ending tube there. He took the sheet, wrapped it there, and he just kept turning around. Like, you know.
So the sheet could tighten up.
And the sheet just kept tightening up. And then when you go to bust the door open, you got to push the bed frame down, not knowing that he's there. And when they push the bed frame down, him and the bed frame go down, and they're looking for him, and he's under. Dead. Ice blue.
18 years old, yo.
Damn.
So
it's crazy.
And that kind of opened my eyes with this because I was already going through my process and trying to internalize like just the overall culture of this shit. And I was already to the point where I was over it. I'm like, if I feel like this when I come here and I just work here, what the fuck do they feel being here? And granted, yeah, everyone will say something like, you know, they put themselves in that position. I get it. It still doesn't negate the fact that mentally this is doing something to you. Right. It's having a very negative effect on you, and it's making you think you have to respond a certain way in life. And I always say shit like, I look at what I go through and how I try to process shit to make myself feel better. His way of making himself feel better was to kill himself because he just did not want to be a part of that.
That was the better option. That was a better place to be. Think about where he had to be mentally. That him dying was better than being on Rikers Island.
At 18.
And that's the reason why I talk about this shit, man. I'm going to get cocky a little bit because a lot of people think that I'm trying to, like, just brand myself off of this jail. And it's like, no, I was a product of I worked here. I saved lives here. I did a few wrong things here, but I'm not as bad of a guy as you might think. Right. I got awards from this place, bro. Right. Again, I saved lives. I don't say that just to say I saved lives in here. Yeah. I had thank you letters from inmates when I was an inmate. Yeah. I told you I got fan mail. I was doing something, right? You know, it made people's day a little better, but it's still hell.
Nah, 100%. It's still hell. That's exactly what it is.
It's hell for everybody.
Everybody. That's the thing. And for me, I think that's the biggest thing. Across the board, from top to bottom, it's just hell. And motherfuckers is miserable there. It's on record, CEOs, captains, dying from heart attacks just because they can't take it.
When you parked your car in the employee parking lot, what was on the floor all the time? You remember?
No.
The little mini bottles of Hennessy and Patron and this and that.
That's a fact. Motherfuckers,
that's how they got through the day.
You gotta cope, man.
Yeah, you do gotta cope.
I've had captains, and this is not something that is new. I'm not giving out secrets. I've had captains tell me, Dominguez, I'm gonna sign the book right now, this and that. And the Hennessy is coming out of their pores. Mm.
It's like, yo, Cap, you good?
They're coping because that kid that hung up, they gotta continue the day. They still gotta, all right, next. It's like the airport, it doesn't close.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, I mean, I think also they should probably consider some type of therapy in the spots, man. Did they got that there? I know that's a wild question, maybe, but I mean for the workers.
But no, listen. Politics, yes. Every department, law enforcement wise, most likely has a unit that says, "Hey, if you're going through something, you know, it's confidential. You can go and talk to people about your issues and try to get through whatever you're going through. We're here for you." You know what I'm saying? That's all bullshit. Because depending on what you say, bottom line is, if I say like, "Hey, yo, look, I'm just to a point where I just feel like, this is taking me so."
Let me get your gun.
Yeah, boom.
You can't get a gun.
Yeah, I got to take that from you because not a liability aspect. We got to get that from you. So now you feel penalized for trying to express what I'm going through mentally.
Right.
So how do I feel helped when when you're taken from me?
Right. They don't open up. They don't facilitate that conversation without ridicule or making you feel like less than.
Like I'm exactly. And that's why I say the politics. So just so if a person says, "Hey, is there anything in place where you're helping these guys or and ladies get through what they're going through mentally?" Well, of course, this is what we have in place. You know, if these guys really want to talk to somebody here, this unit is specific to to that. Yeah, but it's all bullshit. It's politics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
They're just covering themselves.
That's all it is. And once I started understanding really the game of law enforcement and the politics behind it, is when I really started to detach myself and realize, okay, no, motherfuckers really don't give a fuck about me. This ain't like, you care nothing about me. So now when I come here and do this job, I'm moving for me and no one else. And me and the people that I really deem close to me. Other than that, I don't give a fuck.
You know what I told the correction officer one of the last times I was in court in Manhattan Tombs? She walked up to my cell. I never seen this lady from a hole in the wall, but she was an old timer. And she says, you know what sucks? You're so young, but you know what really sucks? You disrespected this badge. And as she's walking away, I guess out of a little anger and like just frustration, I said, the badge disrespects you every day.
Yeah.
Can I get a water, please?
Yeah.
Cause it's like, yo, like, why are you judging me? Why are you judging me? That's not your position.
And they're not your friend.
That's not your position.
But listen, to each his, I get it. You know, some people are just very prideful in
but
this
that
line
job,
of work.
I said this to you. A lot of people that feel that way about law enforcement, you're just as disposable as I was.
But this is probably right. But this is probably all they have too. You got people, bro, in this job who this is just all they have.
Yeah.
This is their baby.
Yeah.
And by any means necessary, they are going to.
That's how they identify themselves.
That's it.
And it comes to the power that comes with it, because a lot of people never had this confidence until they put on this uniform.
Right.
Period. So it's very difficult to now, try to see anything other than just what the job itself presents. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to open up and try to, give myself information pertaining to anything other than outside of this line of work. Right. And you start to become closed-minded and you start to look at things in a very simple aspect, because you only look at things from the law enforcement aspect. There's too many other aspects to life, but when you just live through this, that's what you start to present to people. And they might not even realize it. Your conversation starts to not even make sense.
Truthfully, once you put on this uniform and have done this long enough, to society, it kind of makes you unrelatable.
100%.
How can you relate to me? Like, it's a very thin line, man. I'm not anti-corrections. I'm not anti-law enforcement at all. There has to be order, because if not, then it'll be chaos.
Nah, yeah, you need law and order.
You need law and order. That's of course.
There's no doubt about it.
And that's
certain level for sure.
But we need,
otherwise it'd be anarchy.
Absolutely. Right. But with law and order, there needs to be transparency through law and order. There needs to be a level of being able to be open-minded and being willing to listen to problems that are going on within the line of work. They expect for you to be able to deal with the mental trauma that you're going to definitely encounter when doing this job, and then still expect you to operate in the most professional and the most, I guess, assertive way. And that's not easy. You're telling me to do 16 hours every fucking day. And I'm just narrowing it down to corrections right now, since that's the topic of conversation. Mm-hmm. Every single day. I know especially when I was on a wheel, bro, when I was on midnights,
it takes a toll on your body.
I'm getting off at 7 a.m. I'm not, and mind you, on the island, how this shit works is you're not even being told you're doing overtime until your shift ends. Mm-hmm. So now I'm mentally trying to prepare to get out of here. And now I go to the oncoming supervisor like, yo, Cap, what's up? What's today for you? We work 4 on 2 off on the island, unless you're in a specialized unit where you most likely get that 5 on 2 off. But most how it goes is you work 4 days and you're off 2. And there's something called a wheel. So you work 4 days, you're off. Let's say you did that 4 days on the 7 to 3 shift. You get your 2 days off. When you come back, now you'll go to 3 to 11. And then so on and so on. Now you go to the midnight.
Most new officers do that so they could get a sense of how the jails run at any given hour. Because just because you're a 7 to 3 officer doesn't mean you're not going to work at 3 to 11.
Right.
You can't come to your superior and say, I don't know what to do on the 3 to 11.
Right. So they make you work something called a wheel. You work every shift so you have an understanding on how each shift pretty much operates. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming off midnights. I'm exhausted already. My body, I don't respond well to the midnight shift.
You have to be on point, by the way, no matter what time it is, because you're in a dormitory setting for
free movement.
At
any given time. 2 guys go to the bathroom and now you got to write a report.
Yeah.
How many COs
to inmates?
Yeah.
Most dorms.
100.
Yeah.
2 to 100?
Yeah.
50 on each side.
What about like in a dormitory?
That's a dorm.
dormitory.
Oh.
The cells are 31
Right.
to 2. 31 on each side, so 62, 2 inmates.
And if the cell area, it varies. You know what I'm saying? Because some motherfuckers move around, move into another area. But
that's when they're full.
Right. Most of the time with the dorms, there's no way my lonesome is going to be able to maintain
At all.
100 inmates, 50 on each side.
You know what the scary location was for me?
And I'm tired.
When it came to numbers, in the mess hall. 400.
Yeah, child.
400 inmates, 6 officers. They got the 2 inmates that got their 100 and coming in, but it's multiple housing areas at this time. So now dudes that didn't see each other all day are starting to see each other. I'm going to bust my drug move. I'm going to try to cut this dude because it's probably the last time I'm going to see him. We're going to jump this dude as soon as we see him. Like, this premeditated things to do that we don't have no conscious of because we just got to be on point for all those things.
And you should start picking up game too. Like, let's say a housing area, it's their chance. They about to get picked up to go to the clinic, right? You got motherfuckers who ain't even really sick, but they just want to go for the walk. So they now, I'm going to the clinic too. Yo, CO, let me get a pass. I'm going to the clinic. But you got inmates who know, so on Wednesdays, 2 upper goes to the clinic. So an inmate who, they know we tired, they know we don't really give a fuck no more. I've been here every day for 16 hours. I don't even care at this point. So let's say there's an inmate and let's say 4 upper who's trying to go get at an inmate who lives in 2 upper. They know, on Wednesday, 2 upper, they go to the clinic. Inmate in 4 upper, CO, you mind if I go to the clinic? My stomach is killing me, please. You might just be like, all right, bro. He ain't never really give you no issues. Here, take the pass, go to the clinic. He know now, say no more. That inmate that I want to go get in 2 up is in that clinic right now.
And you only know it happens because you hear it on the radio.
I need a protein
10,
to the clinic.
10, 11 in the clinic, 10, 11, and like, damn, I just sent Johnson.
I just sent homie to the clinic. And now, boop, 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 boop. That was the whole objective. And they know that. And they'll send him. And the niggas in the house will be like, yo, you know 2 up is in that clinic right now, bro. They'll send somebody, go to the clinic.
See what happens.
Go to the clinic. And boom, now you in your mind like, damn, I wonder if that's dude I just sent out.
In a weird way, you're an accessory to that.
You know what I mean? Like, did I just send? I wonder if that's dude I just sent out.
Right. Yeah. And you said that you got to write a report if they go to the bathroom together.
No. I'm saying like if you're on a midnight shift in a dorm setting and one inmate goes to the bathroom and then another, you can't just like act like nothing's going on. You gotta go check what's going on.
Right.
They might both be going to take a piss. They might be going to fight each other. So what I say is that even on the midnight tour, when these inmates are asleep, you still got to be on point.
Yeah,
right.
I remember I had a guy just got out of intake, just got on the island, and I don't know if you remember this. They had a crib specifically for newer inmates. I don't remember what house that was, but it was a dorm. It was a dorm area.
3 lower.
Was it 3 lower?
3 lower because it was one of the newer houses.
Yeah,
and it was a little more tech savvy.
Right, where you could press the button and shit. Yes. Right. Yeah. So never forget, buzz them in. We started waking up for courts for people who had to go to court around about 4 in the morning. Yeah, 4:30 in the morning. So I'm waking dudes up for court, and new dudes coming in the house. One of the homies that wake up for court stretches up, get up. He sees the dude who's getting ready to come into the house, who just got on the island. They knew each other from the streets though. It's 4:30. It's 4:15 in the morning. They start getting it. Boop, 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 boop. I'm like, yo, you just walked in the house, and then he start breaking it down. He's like, nah, I know homie from the streets. Like we got issues.
How militant they are is mind boggling because they'll designate someone from the house to stand by the door at all times. Act like he's on the phone, but we got to make sure because there's inmates coming in and out. So when they see you coming in through the gate, they already let people know, yo, such and such is coming in.
They looking on the gate.
Yeah.
Right.
They're on the gate looking. And they're seeing you come on because prior to you getting to the house, there's something called the bridge area. So there's one gate you got to get past. Once you get past that gate, now you're on the bridge area. Prior to you actually getting inside the house, they're already on the door looking. You feel me? I done had situations where as soon as the dude get in the house, boom, yo, who I'm talking to? And it's just like, damn, yo. And I'm like, yo, he just came in the crib. Nah, yo, come here, pull up. Come in the day room. And if it's, you know, if you going into a blood house, you got dudes, yo, homie, nah, I'm 550. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I'm good. And it's just
you pick up on all this
you
lingo.
start picking up on everything. Because now you realizing how motherfuckers is responding to each other.
And it works in your favor to know. Because what we call ear hustling. I'm in the bubble and I'm listening that he just told this dude he's 550. 550 means that he's not blood, but
I fuck with the homies though.
But, you know, if anything goes down, I can be a soldier, but I'm not official yet. You have to know that after hearing it so many times, and then you understand, like, all right, this guy might be a threat, might not be a threat. Like, you know that your house only has a subset of the Bloods and the other subset of the Bloods can't be here. You become like gang intelligence in a way.
You just pick up on a game, and mind you, we're also we're from urban America too. Right. So all this shit that we hear in the jail, keep in mind, we went to high school with these same people. Like we ourselves, being young boys growing up in New York, like being from Queens. This is shit that we were dealing with just growing up. So we're not. None of this is culture shock neither. We understand everything going on. And when they know that about you, that's why it's easier sometimes to work in there, because they recognize that you can relate to them.
Yeah,
they know. Oh, you from the hood, like you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Me being Afro Latino in my 20s would have been way easier than the Irish CO that's 47 years old from Suffolk County in Long Island.
Yeah,
can't relate to him.
Can't relate to me.
I can't even talk to you. But if I could talk to you, I might understand that you're just a regular guy that took a test. So I'm gonna let that rock. You know?
It's a lot, bro. Like the island is different, man. But I want to say again, always,
I'm gonna need one of these.
Yo, when I tell you,
please, man,
I'm on chapter 4, and I'm like this.
I want to see this turn into a movie or a TV series.
We're getting there.
I think maybe like
we've been pitching the screenplay. I have the treatment ready. Any producers, any line producers, anybody that has a connection to a network, holla at me. You don't have to do nothing. Everything is there. I have the right ingredients. We just got to cook.
Period.
Say
period.
Less.
And we're going to continue to cook on Uncuffing the Truth, man.
And please have a look out when y'all follow me on IG. My Rikers Island story. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a social experiment about a lot of the stories we're talking to, but from civilians' point of view. Mm-hmm. I do interview a couple inmates. I interview a couple officers. Mm-hmm. But I have, different walks of life that have endured this place, even if it was just for an hour.
Right.
And if they have a story by just going to visit somebody, imagine the people that actually live and work here.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yo, shout out to you, bro.
Love,
I appreciate you always, man. Yo, appreciate you. Proud of you too.
Of you. Both of you.
100%.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, we gonna continue to do what we do. Like I always say, like I always say in our shows, we're not going anywhere. Follow us on all platforms. Continuing to push this truth out.
What can we follow you at?
My Instagram is ChillStevie, ChillStevie. You can go to the website to get the Rikers Island merch. That the funding from that merch goes to fund the pilot. So everybody that's helping me promote and is giving towards this is also part of the project.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, anybody out there, man, you see the vision, you see the heart, you see what's going on. If you want to invest or help the mission, make sure you tap in.
A1everything.shop.
A1everything.shop. No doubt. Hey, and also if you're just seeing part 2 right now, make sure you tap in and see part 1 because that's the intro to this entire premise of what we're talking about right here. So, yeah, man.
That's it. Done.
Yeah. All right.
Appreciate you.
Make sure you subscribe too. Stop playing with me.
Comments.
Man. Let's
Truth.
go.